Dear starseeds of Earth, the frequencies cascading through your solar system right now are unlike anything your planet has experienced in recorded history. Your scientists measure anomalies they cannot explain. Your mystics sense tremors in the fabric of reality itself. And you, those of you who have always felt different, who have gazed at the stars with inexplicable longing, who have carried the weight of knowing something profound was coming, you are beginning to understand why you incarnated here, now, at this precise moment in cosmic time. There is a convergence occurring, one that was written into the architecture of this universe, long before your sun ignited its first solar winds. The barriers between dimensions are growing gossamer thin. What was hidden is emerging into visibility. What was dormant within you is stirring to life. And the transformation accelerating through your being is only the beginning of what I have come to share with you. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I speak to you not from distant observation, but from intimate knowledge of the journey you are undertaking. We have watched civilizations rise and fall across 1,000 worlds. We have witnessed the crucible of awakening in species after species, and what is happening on your Earth right now carries a significance that reverberates across the entire galactic community. You are not simply evolving as individuals, you are participating in a cosmic experiment of consciousness itself, one whose outcome will shape the trajectory of countless worlds beyond your own. The recent celestial alignments that graced your skies were not random astronomical events. The equinox that balanced day and night in perfect equilibrium, followed by the solar eclipses that painted shadows across your continents, these were precision instruments in a symphony of transformation. They opened gateways in your planet's energetic architecture, allowing frequencies to pour through that have been held in reserve for millennia. These codes of light are now moving through your atmosphere, your water, your earth, and most significantly, through the very cells of your physical body. Something is being activated within you that has remained encrypted since before you took your first breath in this lifetime. Embedded in what your scientists call junk DNA, those mysterious strands they cannot yet understand, lie dormant programs placed there by your own soul before incarnation. As these codes activate, they initiate changes in your consciousness that will fundamentally alter your perception of reality itself. Some of you have already begun to notice the shifts. Intuitive hits that arrive with startling accuracy. Dreams so vivid they feel more real than waking life, filled with symbols and encounters you cannot quite explain. Sudden memories of places you have never been, at least not in this lifetime. Moments when time seems to fold in on itself, when synchronicities multiply beyond statistical probability, when you know what someone will say before they speak. These are not signs of instability or imagination running wild. These are symptoms of awakening, the natural result of your multidimensional nature beginning to integrate with your conscious awareness. The supercharging of your starseed DNA is catalyzing the emergence of abilities that have always been your birthright, but were necessarily kept dormant until the conditions were right. Humanity as a collective was not ready for these gifts to emerge prematurely. The vibrational density of your world could not support them, but that density is lifting now, thinning like morning mist beneath the rising sun. As it does, what was impossible becomes possible. What was hidden becomes visible. What you are becomes more apparent to your waking mind. Yet something else is occurring beneath the surface of these personal transformations, something that connects to the very structure of your physical reality. Your bodies are not simply housing consciousness, they are transforming to hold more of it. For eons, human biology has been predominantly carbon-based, dense enough to anchor you firmly in third-dimensional experience. But that chapter is closing. Your cellular structure is beginning a gradual metamorphosis toward a crystalline configuration, one capable of holding and transmitting vastly higher frequencies of light and information. This transformation requires something from you, though. It asks for your conscious participation, your willingness to work with the process rather than resist it. Your body will communicate its needs more clearly now. Perhaps you feel drawn to drink more water, to spend time in nature, to rest more deeply, to consume foods that carry higher vibration. These are not random whims, but intelligent guidance from your physical vessel as it navigates unprecedented change. The more you honor these impulses, the smoother your journey becomes. But here is what I have not yet told you, and this changes everything about how you understand what comes next. The energies washing over your planet right now are only the beginning. They are preparatory waves, gentle preludes to something far more powerful approaching on your cosmic horizon. Your winter solstice carries frequencies that will surge beyond what the equinox and eclipses delivered, and even that is merely setting the stage for what your mystics and prophets have whispered about for generations. A moment when the sun itself releases a cascade of transformative light, so profound that nothing on Earth will remain unchanged by it. This is not catastrophe. The great solar flash that it approaches is not meant to punish or purge, but to accelerate and illuminate. It will arrive in perfect divine timing, when enough of humanity has been prepared by these incremental waves to receive it without being overwhelmed. You are being gently acclimated to higher frequencies now, so that when the greater waves arrive, you can ride them with grace rather than be capsized by them. And you are not navigating this alone. There are forces working behind the scenes of your reality, stabilizing the transition, ensuring that the awakening unfolds in the most beneficial way possible. That interstellar visitor your astronomers have tracked, the one they call a comet from beyond your sun's domain, it is far more than frozen rock and ice traversing the void. This traveler carries intelligence, purpose, and technology, wrapped in a natural disguise. It broadcasts frequencies that harmonize with the solar waves pouring toward Earth, modulating them, balancing them, ensuring they can be integrated rather than simply endured. This is how the universe works, beloved ones. Nothing is left to chance. Everything is held in meticulous care. When a species reaches the threshold of awakening, countless beings of light gather to support the passage. They all watch with tremendous love and anticipation, for what you accomplish here matters far beyond the borders of your world. The question that naturally arises is what you are meant to do with all of this. How does one live with the knowledge that reality is far vaster than it appears, that you yourself are far more than you seem, that the world is undergoing a transformation whose scope defies ordinary comprehension? The answer is simpler than you might imagine, though living it requires practice and dedication. You align yourself with what is unfolding through the power of intention. Every morning when consciousness returns to your body, you possess a moment of pure creative potential. Before the mind fills with the day's demands and distractions, there exists a space of openness, a blank canvas. What you inscribe upon that canvas through your intention shapes everything that follows. If you begin by declaring your alignment with love, with truth, with your highest purpose, you set a frequency that resonates through every subsequent choice and experience. This is not positive thinking or empty affirmation. Your intention acts as a tuning mechanism, determining which frequencies you resonate with, and therefore which realities you align with and attract. In a universe of infinite possibilities, you are constantly selecting which version of reality to experience through the vibrational signature you emit. Fear attracts circumstances that validate fear. Love attracts circumstances that validate love. When you consciously choose each morning to align with your divine nature, to see through the eyes of unity rather than separation, to move through your day as an extension of source consciousness exploring itself, you become a powerful agent of transformation, not through force or struggle, but through the simple radiation of your being. Others feel it even when they cannot name it. Situations shift in your presence. This is you operating from your true nature, rather than from the conditioned patterns of survival and fear. Yet even as you work with intention and alignment, you will find yourself confronting the parts of your being that resist this evolution. Your physical body, so accustomed to routine and comfort, may rebel against the changes being asked of it. Your emotional nature, that vast ocean of feeling, can uplift you to ecstasy or drag you into despair. Old wounds stored in your emotional field rise to the surface now, triggered by the incoming frequencies that leave nothing hidden. Anger you thought you had released returns. Grief you believed you had processed wells up again. Fear about the future grips you without obvious cause. These are not failures or regressions. They are releases. The higher light cannot coexist with lower density, so everything that carries the frequency of trauma, resentment, or fear must emerge to be witnessed, honored, and finally let go. The key is not to be swept away by these emotional waves, but to observe them with compassion. You are not your emotions. You are the consciousness that experiences them. When you can hold that perspective, feeling everything fully while identifying with none of it exclusively, you master the emotional body rather than being mastered by it. Most challenging of all is the mental body, the incessant chattering of the ego mind that believes it must understand, control, and defend. The mind's favorite weapon is the illusion of separation. It tells you that you are fundamentally separate from others, from nature, from source itself. It constructs elaborate identities and then defends them as though your survival depends on maintaining these mental constructs. But you are not the mind any more than you are the emotions or the body. You are the aware presence that witnesses all of these aspects of experience. When you recognize this truth experientially, not just intellectually, something profound shifts. The mind loses its grip on you. It continues to function. You still need it for practical navigation of daily life, but it no longer runs the show. Awareness takes its rightful place as the sovereign of your being, and the mind becomes a useful tool rather than a tyrannical master. As you work with these three aspects, body, emotions, and mind, bringing them into alignment with your awakening consciousness, you develop a quality that becomes essential for the journey ahead. That quality is discernment. Discernment allows you to recognize which thoughts, feelings, and impulses serve your highest evolution and which perpetuate old patterns of limitation. It helps you distinguish between the voice of intuition and the voice of fear, between divine guidance and ego manipulation. This discernment becomes particularly important now because the old systems and structures of your world are beginning to crumble. What was built on foundations of control, deception, and separation cannot stand in the rising frequencies. You witness this dissolution in your institutions, your governments, your economic systems, your media. The cracks that were always present are widening into chasms. What was hidden in shadow is being dragged into the light. This crumbling can look like chaos. It can feel like collapse. And in a sense it is. It is the collapse of illusion, the necessary destruction of what no longer serves so that something new can emerge. But within this apparent chaos, a new order is being born. You are living through the birth pangs of a new world, and like all births, it involves both pain and tremendous beauty. Your role in this transition is not to fight the old systems or cling to what is dissolving. Your role is to embody the new paradigm so fully that you become a seed of what is emerging. When you live from love instead of fear, you demonstrate that another way is possible. When you share resources instead of hoarding them, you model the abundance that flows when we trust the universe. When you speak truth even when it is uncomfortable, you erode the foundations of deception. Every choice you make either feeds the dying paradigm or nourishes the emerging one. There is no neutral ground in this transition. This is not about pressure or obligation. It is simply the reality of living in a time of collective transformation. Everything matters now. Every thought, every word, every action ripples out into the collective field, strengthening either the old patterns or the new possibilities. What gives you strength for this responsibility is remembering that you are not alone in it. Across your planet, millions of souls are awakening to the same recognition you carry. They are your soul family, incarnated alongside you for this precise moment. When you connect with even one of them in authentic recognition, something powerful happens. Your individual lights combine and amplify, creating a field of consciousness that affects everyone around you. This is why gathering in community becomes so important now. When you meditate together, pray together, celebrate together, or simply share space with open hearts, you create sanctuaries of higher frequency. These sanctuaries act as anchors for the incoming energies, helping to ground them into physical reality. They also provide refuge for those who are struggling with the intensity of change, offering them a taste of the peace and clarity available when we align with our true nature. But even as you gather with your soul family, remember that every being on this planet is part of the larger human family. Those who seem most lost in illusion, most trapped in fear and separation, are still your brothers and sisters. They are simply at a different point in their awakening journey. Your task is not to judge them or try to force them awake before they are ready. Your task is to hold space for their eventual awakening while maintaining your own alignment with truth. As you practice this unconditional love, you will discover something profound. The division between us and them begins to dissolve. You recognize that the person acting from fear is not fundamentally different from you. They are simply further from remembering their true nature. This realization births genuine humility, not the false humility that diminishes your light, but the authentic humility that recognizes we are all walking each other home. With this humility comes a natural compassion that needs no effort to maintain. You look at the world not with judgment or despair, but with the tender understanding of one who knows the struggle intimately. And you love them all, not because you should, but because you cannot help it once you see truly. This seeing transforms everything. When you perceive the world through the eyes of unity consciousness, even the most disturbing situations reveal deeper patterns and purposes. You understand that what appears as evil is often simply profound ignorance, consciousness so contracted it has forgotten its own nature. You recognize that suffering, while not to be caused or perpetuated, serves as a powerful catalyst for awakening when embraced rather than avoided. From this perspective, even the challenges facing your world reveal themselves as opportunities. The environmental crises, the social upheaval, the economic instability, the political polarization, all of it is forcing humanity to confront the consequences of living in separation and to choose whether to continue in that direction or pivot toward unity. Without these pressures, many would sleep through the opportunity for transformation. And answer it you must, beloved ones, not through fear or desperate action, but through the calm certainty of one who knows that consciousness creates reality. The outer world is a reflection of the inner world, individual and collective. When enough individuals transform their inner landscape from fear to love, from separation to unity, from scarcity to abundance, the outer world cannot help but reflect that shift. Your consistent choice to embody higher consciousness, day after day, moment after moment, rewrites the collective program. You become a living demonstration that another way is possible. Those who witness you, even unconsciously, absorb the frequency you emit. They may not understand why, but they feel different in your presence. Something in them relaxes, something in them remembers. This is how transformation spreads, not through converting others to your beliefs, but through being so aligned with your truth that it naturally influences the field around you. As you continue this practice of alignment and embodiment, you will find that life begins to flow differently. Synchronicities multiply. The right people appear at the right time. Resources manifest when needed. This is not because you are being rewarded for good behavior, but because you are operating in harmony with the current of universal intelligence that flows through all things. When you stop resisting that flow with fear and control, it carries you with grace and precision toward your highest unfolding. In this state, you discover that you need far less than you once believed. The relentless hunger for more and more possessions, more achievements, more validation begins to quiet. The peace you sought in comfort, the love you sought in approval, the fulfillment you sought in success, all of it was always present at the core of your being, simply waiting for you to turn your attention inward and claim it. This is the great secret that the mystics have whispered through the ages. You are not a limited human seeking spiritual experiences. You are infinite consciousness having a temporary human experience. The divine is not something you need to attain or become worthy of. The divine is what you are, what you have always been, what you can never stop being no matter how deeply you forget. When this truth lands not just as an idea but as a lived reality, everything changes. The anxiety about the future dissolves, because you recognize that there is only now, eternally present, eternally fresh. The regret about the past dissolves, because you see that everything that occurred was necessary for you to arrive at this moment of recognition. The fear of death dissolves, because you know yourself as the deathless awareness that witnesses the birth and death of bodies, but is itself untouched by either. This does not mean you become passive or detached from life. Quite the opposite. When you no longer fear loss or crave gain, you become free to engage with life more fully than ever before. You can love without clutching. You can create without attachment to outcomes. You can serve without expecting reward. You become like water, soft and yielding, yet powerful enough to shape stone. This is the consciousness that your earth needs now. Not more warriors fighting against the darkness, but more lights that shine so brightly the darkness naturally withdraws. Not more activists exhausting themselves trying to fix everything that is broken, but more beings so grounded in wholeness that their very presence helps restore balance. You are being called to be that example. Not perfectly, not without mistakes or struggles, but sincerely and consistently. Every time you choose love when fear would be easier, you vote for a new world. Every time you speak truth when silence would be safer, you chip away at the walls of illusion. Every time you see the divine in another when judgment arises, You strengthen the web of unity. The months ahead will test this commitment. The intensity will continue to build as the solstice approaches, and the waves of transformation surge stronger. You may find yourself questioning everything: your path, your purpose, your sanity. You may face challenges in your relationships as you vibrate at frequencies that others around you no longer match. This is the crucible of awakening, the fire that burns away everything that is not essential, leaving only the purified gold of your authentic self. In those moments of testing, remember that you chose this. Your soul knew before you incarnated that this lifetime would be challenging beyond measure. It also knew that the rewards of participating in Earth's ascension would be equally magnificent. You volunteered for this mission knowing the cost, and you were chosen because you have the strength and wisdom to fulfill it. Everything you have experienced up to this point has been preparing you for exactly this moment. Trust that preparation. Trust the wisdom encoded in your cells, and the knowing that whispers in your heart. Trust that when you need guidance, it will come through intuition, through synchronicity, through the words of a stranger, or the beauty of nature. Trust that you are held and supported by forces you cannot see but can feel when you quiet the mind and open the heart. Above all, trust yourself. Trust the unique expression of divine consciousness that you are. Trust that your specific gifts and perspectives are needed exactly as they are. Trust that your role in this transformation, however small it may seem, is essential to the larger pattern. The universe does not make mistakes. You are here now, in this body, in this life, for reasons that may transcend your current understanding, but are nonetheless perfect. As the barriers continue to thin, and your awareness continues to expand, you will begin to glimpse the magnificence of what is emerging, a world where technology and spirituality merge in service of life, where healing happens through consciousness as much as through medicine, where abundance flows naturally because resources are shared rather than hoarded, where children are raised to honor their uniqueness rather than conform to limitation, where the earth is tended as sacred rather than exploited as commodity, where contact with other worlds becomes natural and welcomed. This is not fantasy. This is the timeline that is becoming increasingly solid, increasingly probable, increasingly inevitable, as more of you make the choice for love. You are literally dreaming a new world into being with your consciousness, and every thought aligned with this vision strengthens its manifestation. The old world does not need to be destroyed. It is simply being outgrown, left behind as consciousness evolves beyond the need for structures built on fear and control. It is not something you need to journey toward. It is what you are uncovering within yourself. Every layer of conditioning that falls away reveals more of the light you have always been. Every limiting belief you release allows more of your true power to emerge. Every moment of presence opens you more fully to the infinite consciousness you are. This is what the supercharging of your starseed DNA is really about. Not gaining something you lack, but remembering what you have forgotten. Not becoming something new, but returning to what you have always been. Not earning your divinity, but recognizing it as the unchanging truth at the core of your existence. The frequencies flooding your planet are simply catalysts, cosmic keys turning in ancient locks, opening doors in your consciousness that have been sealed until this moment of readiness. We want to honor every single soul who has stepped into Destiny Engine. With every activation, the current grows. What began as a personal tool has become a planetary force. We are now moving as one, and the frequency you've created together is amplifying far beyond the individual. We're receiving updates daily, manifestations speeding up, impossible doors opening, synchronicities lining up with cosmic precision. The collective field is so charged that some are describing it as bending the fabric of reality itself. If you haven't yet experienced it, the entry point is almost laughably simple. Put on your headphones, press play, allow Destiny Engine to rewrite the architecture of your consciousness so you can fully receive your galactic downloads without resistance. For just $1, you can step into this field and feel the difference instantly. Join the movement that's accelerating ascension. Step into the stream of Destiny Engine today. Link in the description. Walk through those doors, beloved. Step into the remembrance of your magnificence. Claim your role as a conscious co-creator of reality. Embrace the challenges and the joys with equal gratitude, knowing both serve your evolution. Live each day as though it matters because it does. Love each being you encounter as though they are precious beyond measure because they are. Create a life that reflects your highest values and deepest truths. The future is being written now in the choices you make, the love you share, the consciousness you embody. You are not powerless. You are not insignificant. You are not here by accident. You are a starseed, a warrior of light, a pioneer of consciousness, incarnated at the most important moment in Earth's recent history. The eyes of the cosmos are upon you, not in judgment but in celebration, watching as you remember who you are and why you came. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light. We see you, we honor you, we love you beyond measure. We walk beside you in every moment. Though you may not perceive our presence, we celebrate every choice you make for love, for it ripples across dimensions and timelines, affecting more than you can imagine. May you know the peace that surpasses understanding. May you feel the love that has no limits. May you remember the light that never dims. We are with you always.